Hello, everyone. This is Gia Jones here with Parent Voices Unfiltered, and we are live. We have a great episode for you today. Um, we're waiting for um, our special guest, our very own Clarissa, to join us for our live for Clarissa's Battle. And I hope you all really enjoyed uh, this episode. Also, we're hoping that we'll have a special guest join us also in the live. And we just want to encourage everyone to, in our comment section here, if you could actually pose any questions or thoughts or feelings as we go along in our Q&A with Carissa. So I am super happy to have her here today. Hi, Tamara. This is Gia. So happy to see you. You're very welcome to join us on the live. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, so let's see. I have a request to join. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Katrina. So happy to have
Hi.
you. How are you
Oh,
today?
can you hear
Are you
me?
able? Yes, I can hear you. Just it's very
And I'm
faint.
here at the
Um,
National
if you're
Conference on
able
Race
to.
and Equity in New Orleans. And I'm so happy to join you. I stepped
Oh,
out for just a moment so I could jump in, but let me see if I can put in my headphones so I can hear you better.
I know.
Clarissa's coming too.
Let's see. Okay, she just
Yay.
requested to join. Have her to the side. Rissa, are you able to join? Let me. Hi, Lily. How
Hi.
are you?
Can you hear me a little better now? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's a little bit better. So, I just is doing the live. I hope you're able to join. So, yes, I'm so happy to have you both here.
Hi, everyone.
Um, so, so I'm sorry. I just if she's able to. Um, are you, Clarissa? Hopefully you're able to join the line. Your phone is a little bit difficult on your computer. Better to join on your phone. But yes, so we'll start our Q&A in just maybe a couple of minutes. Um, but if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would go a little bit
Sure.
forward.
Hi, I'm Tamara Perkins. I'm the director and producer of Clarissa's Battle. Um, so grateful for all the work that we've done with Clarissa and Parent Voices California and Oakland. Yeah, just grateful to be here. Happy to answer any questions too. I can um, text and answer online.
Yeah. Um, so, this is, but thank you so much. You're actually a wonderful um, director, and we're so happy that you were able to put this beautiful piece of art, in the form of film and advocacy. And we all have some really great questions for you today. And so I really want Clarissa to join the live. And so if you want, I'm I'm familiar with some of your work. So not only are you a director, but I know also you produce films as well, and you have a couple other films that you worked on, such as Life After Life and then Rebound. What 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 actually prompted you to go into the filmmaking world?
To make films. What prompted me? Here, actually, I'm gonna turn this off for a minute because
Yeah.
can you hear me better now? Are you able to hear me a little better now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. Somebody just asked me these questions yesterday. Here at the conference, and oh, good, Clarissa's here! Yay! We can hear more from her. Yeah. I mean, I feel really grateful that I've been able to tell stories, and I grew up in a household filled with artists. My dad's a fine artist, and realized that was not going to be my my calling. It's also hard. It's hard to compete with a really amazing artist in your family. And I've always been a writer. And I guess when I realized that I could tell stories that could also a catalyst for change that needs to happen in the world. I fell in love. I'm obsessed. Whatever it is, I'm just really grateful I get to do it. So I mean, it's really from that activist heart and being, just loving storytelling. So let Clarissa jump in here.
Clarissa, we're so happy.
Hi.
We're, we're so proud of you. Um, for everyone who is watching our live, this is our Q&A for Carissa's Battle, and we are so proud and so happy with her work, and we just want to hear more from you about this excellent film and more about you. So if you want to introduce yourself to everyone, we can.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad we're finally all able to do this. This is really exciting. And I feel kind of silly because I don't have my blue t-shirt on right now. So I always, thank you, girl, thank you, or thank you whoever said that. Um, I'm always, representing my family, parent voices. And yeah, it's been a fifth, just about almost 15-year journey with the organization, and so this is definitely my home, and I'm happy to be here talking about PV um and the film. I started in the organization when my son was just under 2 years old, and I had a subsidy. So I started as a parent leader, and it took a lot to get that subsidy. And it's interesting because a lot of the things that we're fighting for and talking about are the experiences that I had, and that's not to say that we haven't had significant wins, and I'm happy to talk about that in the conversation. But just the same challenge of being respected as someone who needs care for their children, being respected as a parent or a caregiver, loving adult, someone who's able to parent with dignity, that struggle is still the same. You know what I mean? That political struggle. And I think Parent Voices is one of the few organizations that I've seen, and really across the country, that has been able to support the like really lead from the heart. As that sounds kind of corny, but it's very, very true. Anybody that's experienced inside the organization, like really being truly supportive of parents and meeting us where we are, as well as building the kind of advocacy muscle that's needed to actually create change. So
You are so right. Um, just for everyone that's watching, I know some of our parent leaders and parent members organizations are watching our live, and Parent Voices does a really excellent job. That's the part of like the core of the work is that they really work with advocates in developing these community-based, organizing skills, and efforts to really hone in on quality and affordable childcare. And so Clarissa is like an excellent example of really the dedication and work that comes with like creating change with public policy. And so this film, it really goes into that process. And so just
Mhm.
wanted to talk a little bit more about how films and documentaries help to bring forth important times and experiences, beliefs, and feelings. And Carissa's battles embodies all those things to capture true advocacy and parenting in just the first few minutes of the film. And it helps empower moms like me and parents across California, and also amplifying her beautiful voice across the country. And so, with that, I wanted to go into our first question that we have for you, Clarissa.
Mhm.
So, what was it like actually filming the documentary? Like your daily routine, the different calls to action. What was that like for you?
Um, oh, two big things I want to just, mention, and Tamara can back me up on this. Like, first of all, the the crew and Tamara were really beautiful and intentional about what was in the film, what wasn't in the film. I mean, not even in just the editing stage, but there was this really deep common understanding that Black mothers, especially low-income Black mothers, are, hey, Mary. And I also see Children's First Collective in the house. Thank you so much for joining. Um, the way that the struggle around economic justice is often portrayed in film and media, especially, I'm going to say especially with Black mothers or immigrant communities or immigrant communities, it's through this lens of white saviorism, or through this lens of we have to help these poor people out of poverty and help them to help themselves. No matter where you are on the political spectrum, there's still this invalidation of just how much work it is to get what others consider to be some kind of handout or freebie, when it really, these are programs that are human rights and everyone should have access to. So there was this discussion about that perception in media and in our culture, and making sure that we're showing this work from a place of power and not engaging people from a place of lack or trauma, or really highlighting the sort of there's just a lot of like poverty voyeurism that people are interested in, but then that doesn't compel them to change things. That doesn't inspire them to actually, or inspire anyone else to feel like they can change things. And then the day-to-day filming, we were able to just, I thank the crew all the time. It was all women, right? Women who are mothers. So I think that really made a huge difference in how this was filmed and how this was produced. Because if I was going through something, we checked in about it. If I was struggling with something, it wasn't, Tamara, it wasn't like, we've got to meet this deadline right now, because I wouldn't have done it. I'd have been like, you know what, I'm organizing, I'm trying to raise a child. This very much followed, the sort of ebbs and flows of my personal life, respected my privacy, and then also, followed the ebbs and flows of the work, which this work is not static at all. There is nothing about this. We had no idea the things that evolved were going to evolve, and they really created space for that.
I know. I definitely could actually feel that actual power in the film, just like the first 3 minutes. And I
Mhm.
get to also talk with Stella about how she actually just went straight into the heart of like the film in the first 3 minutes. Like it can't be overlooked. It must be understood that you're a beautiful mom and you're doing this awesome work. And me and my daughter were like in tears. We're like, oh my God.
Oh.
Or to like what the film is about. So, Tamara, you want to talk to us a little bit more about that process, what it's like to, um, I don't know, like the producing of understanding that power in the
I
story.
I mean, for me, there was no other way to tell this story. I was a mom that was going through it too, and are you hearing me? Okay? Yeah. Oh, okay. Um, I'm also plugging in the
Yeah,
phone
I can hear
because
you.
I just realized it's getting low on juice. But yeah, I mean, I don't see any other way to tell the story. I mean, I actually just did this master class on co-creation filmmaking, and this is just the way I've always told stories years. And honestly, when I met Clarissa, do you remember me? I was almost trying to talk you out of it a little bit. I was like, it's gonna be long, it's gonna be invasive. We gotta like each other. We gotta like, it's a process, right? And we have to be able to respect each other through that process.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to make sure that your voice was clearly leading the story and what we shared in the film, because obviously I was coming in and learning so much, and I still had my baby, and just trying to find the ground after getting laid off, just trying to find my way. So I feel like the only way to tell stories like this is that collaborative process, right? And having all of these amazing moms that were part of the process. CB, and a note to her, I hope she's here. CB Smith-Dahl is the most amazing.
Baby.
She's a director of photography, she's a producer, she's a mom of twin girls, she's amazing, she's a black
Incredible.
mama, she's just all of the things. And she was an amazing guide for me. In the beginning it was the CB, me, and Clarissa, like the three of us, going through all of it together. So I would just say, if anybody else is out there thinking about doing something like this, you know, make sure that you're making this a collaborative process, that you're really telling the story, that your participants, that the folks who are going to see the film, like that it's from this authentic space. I mean, I think that's really the only thing I could say more about it.
And a few people are asking where the film is streaming. We might want to put an answer there and pin it, because
Yes.
or how people can view it. I just wanted to note that. But a shout out to CB, um, because again, it was this process where CB CB had children that were a little bit older. So Tamara's baby was younger than mine, and each of us were going through different stages of parenthood, and actually like single mothers, as solo mothers. And so there was like this support and like basic understanding, right, of again how to show up in the world and in this work with our dignity intact. And I also want to lift up that childcare is really, really complicated, and so anyone working on this film had to really take kind of a crash course in how did we get here, you know what I mean, like how do we get here, how do we tell this story. And I tell this panels, like, I didn't want to do the film. What I mean is, I didn't want the film to just be about me. And it's not in a lot of ways. I was like, no, I wanted it to be about the waiting list so bad, because at that time I was, this has eased a little bit as we've done some work, but at that time I was completely obsessed with the waiting list and making sure that families weren't struggling on that no hope list, and the injustice of it just I couldn't I wasn't going to stop until, there had been at least some kind of acknowledgement that this was a problem. So, Tamara was very real with me about, what this, how, the capacity that this takes. Um, I didn't want to necessarily even talk to her as a filmmaker before I even met her, because I was really focused on the organizing. But she really, I think, had a vision before I did about how this could support the field and really tell a story. So I'm grateful for the choices you made, Tamara, because I didn't see that, you know what I mean? But she was like, this is going to take a lot of time. I was like, yeah. Um, I was willing to, and I am still willing to, do whatever it takes, for people to be as committed and excited about organizing as I am.
I know. That's exactly what is actually my moving to my next question is that what were some of the most important points or aspects that the documentary actually makes, you think, to the audience? Because I know you talked about the waiting list,
Mm-hmm.
um, wanting more childcare spots. Are there any other points you think are important for advocates or things that you understand about advocacy?
Yeah, there's so much. I think that we've learned, the field has progressed and evolved,
Mm-hmm.
over the last decade. Parent Voices has been doing work on this, and we're going into 27 years now. And I think there's um, a lot of work that obviously I was trained to do a specific way because of Parent Voices. And then, over the last 10 years, we've seen more conversation around bringing an anti-racist lens, looking at anti-Black racism, specifically into, how we think about childcare and childcare policy, how we approach childcare policy. I'm seeing more funding and money, or more resource being made available to train and get serious about one-to-one relational organizing and power building, and thinking about, you know, parents as organizers, all as well as incredible storytellers. Nobody tells stories like PV parents, and no, we're the best to ever do it. And I think that this, our range in terms of, being able to tell our stories from a place of racial justice, gender justice, and economic justice, and just fine tuning that. I think that that's really, there's been a big shift, I think. So the organizing, bringing in, some more intersectionality into the work. And I think there's a lot more that we can do and that we will do. But those things are really important. And I also think, at the state level, I've watched, us just get really smart about, finding those places, um, to make bigger, I wouldn't say bigger, because we've had some really, really big policy wins over the last 27 years. Like shifting the landscape of ECE in California. I just think that we've gotten more sophisticated about us leading in the legislative process, right, in the state capitol, us really holding these powerful relationships that I think the bigger agencies and that we were connected to, that they kind of held those for a long time. And so I hope we can be a model that actually parents can lead movements, right? Parents, caregivers, providers, and anyone who's providing care can be folks leading the campaigns and sitting at the table and actually agendizing what needs to be talked about at those tables. the last thing I'll say that I experienced in a day without childcare that really became clear to me is that Parent Voices and I think California has gotten to a place where parents and providers have the kind of relationships that I don't see in many other places. Again, I've traveled across the country. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how much, for this work, talking to people from all over. And I will say that there's something very special, even if it's not perfect, right? We still struggle together and love each other and have some, not conflict, but differences. I will say that the solidarity and unity and the potential for that to be incredibly powerful in California is very, very promising and inspiring. It's very special what we have here.
You're absolutely right. Um, those are very important points that you're bringing up, especially for PV parents and just understanding the work and how it's actually even understanding your journey. That there's actual particular things that you've come to understand through your work, like the overall like lens of parent advocacy, which is really beautiful. And we love hearing like how you understand everything and how it correlates with your actual own experience. And so this film is like really powerful. And so, what are some other inspirations, or were there any particular like events that sparked this documentary idea? I know Cameron was telling us, different things that she was as a mom and how presented a opportunity for her as creative process, and also her own advocacy. So were there any particular inspirations?
Yeah.
Oh, Tamar, can you mute?
I'm sorry, did you?
Oh no, I was asking Tamara if she could mute.
I was gonna try to answer, but you go ahead.
Okay.
Turn off
No,
my
no, you
camera.
go
No, I
ahead.
was just gonna say I said this in the chat, but like, obviously we met because I was going to Bananas because I got laid off at almost 9 months pregnant, and I was trying to figure out. Somebody pointed me towards Bananas and the subsidy, so I was on the waiting list. I didn't say that before. That was my direct inspiration. I was thrown off that economic cliff. I did not understand what millions of families are going through. And I thought that somebody needed to be talking about it and like screaming about, which I know Clarissa is doing, but I wanted to amplify that. This is the skill I have, so that's where I come from it. And then afterwards I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the things coming up and how to watch it.
Yes, so much. I think that's very interesting, and which also brings up how different things that we bring forth and our advocacy, how it's so important. Like whether it be an artist or a writer, I do writing, or also organizing. Like there's particular things that we all can present in this movement of helping parents and families that's so important. And so I just wanted to really, speak to that and like tell you both you were awesome. Clarissa, so what was your child's thoughts about seeing the film or filming? Like, are there any like I don't know interesting things that your child mentioned to you? I think it would be.
Oh, I love this question. Yeah, so it's interesting because we filmed over 7 years, right? So you got to think of. It's hard for me to even wrap my mind around when I see pictures of Xavier from 5 years ago versus now, right? He'll be 16 in a couple of months, and so when we started we started filming, he was like 6 years old, right? So yeah, he was 6 going on 7. Uh, 6. And so he, um, his reaction to seeing the film, I'll start there. I think, it was really sweet because, Xavier really loves the film. And I did not expect that. I expected him to be kind of like embarrassed or, because by the time the film was done, he was like 14 years old, and that is like, wow, what an age, I mean, that's not an age where you're like, you want to see your childhood, 7 years of your childhood on film. You wouldn't think that, but he actually really loved the film. And one beautiful thing, because I think what the other beautiful thing of capture, working with a crew and a team of mothers, they captured my relationship with Xavier so beautifully and thoughtfully. And, it just did not feel, it didn't feel corny. It didn't feel or cheesy or Hallmarkish. It was just very real. And it really captured the essence of how Xavier and I communicate, which is a special thing because Xavier's been my road dog. You know what I mean? It's been me and Xavier against the world for a long time, for, since birth, kind of, So they did this beautiful job of just like capturing this very authentic experience of me being a mama to him while doing all of this stuff. And I think when at the end of it, Xavier and I had a very sweet moment where, he was very, very proud. You could tell that he was really proud. And, I think the first viewing, I mean, he's not gonna want me to say this, but I don't think any of his friends is watching my live. I think like we both were kind of had tears in our eyes because it just was such a beautiful testament, to our relationship that we'll forever have. And the filming, he was okay. He didn't mind the camera so much. In fact, there's this scene didn't make it into the film, but when we were getting ready to we were getting his tuxedo for my sister's wedding. There's a whole, the crew captured my sister's wedding. There's a lot of, we got to do some with the outtakes so people can see, because they were like really in our lives. They were in our business. No, I'm kidding. They were in our lives, and they, captured my sister's wedding, one of our Thanksgiving dinners with my family, which is sweet because some of those family members are no longer here. And they, Xavier was pretty cooperative, and he was there in this one part. He was behind the camera himself, and he was really interested in learning what Tamara was doing. And then as he got older, it got a little bit more difficult for him to cooperate. And then, once we hit like 13, he's like, "You're gonna have to pay me." You know what I'm saying? Once we got to right at the teen years, he was like, I'm gonna need to get paid for this. And so one of the scenes that he got paid for, which, I paid dearly, like not dearly, but I paid a lot of money for this, was during the pandemic. He, like, when there was the scene with the pandemic, he did not want to be filmed like trying to figure out Zoom, but I knew it would be so worth it, right? Because that is like, we all had to experience that as parents and caregivers and loving adults, trying to navigate a Zoom classroom. You know what I mean? So so in the beginning, he was super excited and kind of with it, and the cameras, he was interested, and towards the end he was like, that's gonna be $50. You know what I mean? So yeah.
No, I know exactly. It was really, particular moments like in the film where I thought the producers and the director did a really great job of capturing those moments. And you're so awesome and really like funny person. So I was really like pleasantly surprised, just like the actual like the flow of the film. It made a lot of sense. Like it's actual film, a documentary that was captured very beautifully. So, Tamara, maybe you can speak to this. Were there any like, more challenging or difficult parts of the film for you, like as a
I
director?
mean, I think the hardest part is that I had this small child. Um, Sometimes Maya had to be with me. Sometimes she didn't want to get out from the front of the camera. You remember that? She like just staying in front of it. So,
Yes.
she made it into at least one shot, one live shot there, running with Lucy, right? I think. So yeah, I mean, I think being a parent is hard, right? Like you kind
Yeah, at
of
the
that comes
launch.
first.
Yeah.
And so for me as a director, it wouldn't have worked if Clarissa didn't want to also be collaborative in that realm, because she had to be patient with me sometimes when I was like, okay, I don't have childcare for this, so Maya's gonna be with me and we're gonna like figure it out. Or I was trying to hodgepodge together, childcare so I could do it. And then I would say the other thing for independent filmmakers is that this is our lifeblood. We do it because, we kind of feel like we have to, right? There's a part of us that is, like usually if I'm doing a film, it's because I'm also in the movement. I say usually, always in that, I have some connection in that way. And funding is super sparse for independent filmmakers. So we're just trying to, cobble it together. And I'm grateful we were able to make this. And I also am super proud of it, because we did this on a shoestring budget with mamas who put so much in to this film. And it would not have happened if we weren't all like equally committed. I say all that and I still say like there's still funding that's needed to like backfill and like make sure people actually get support for all the work that they've done. But yeah, no, I mean, I think those would be the two. And I'm sure there's a million other things, but honestly, you push through them. And I think most of my filmmaking sisters would say like, because you are just so driven to tell the story and and for me to have this vehicle for change, for activism, for like all the grassroots work that's happening. The biggest part is like, hey, let's all kind of try to have as much fun as we can while we're doing this. Each other, you know what I mean, and make a beautiful film.
Make more art. More art.
Yeah.
We need more art, as much art as possible in our movements. And so I like this also, for me, affirmed that and brought in like just a reverence and love for our culture makers, our culture keepers, and the people who both, whether you're documenting a movement moment or you are someone who right, is a creator or a maker of any kind. It doesn't have to be just a poster or clothing, but just make art. I think that is really one of the biggest antidotes to the joyless, hopeless, sad, and disgusting fascist wave that's trying to come and that's trying to emerge and trying to, really attack our communities. And I think, childcare is not just about an economic transaction between a caregiver and, a parent who needs to work. That framing is part of the story, but that's not the whole story, right? It's about how we love each other. It's about how we, build a life together in our communities. And so I think making art about that, and not just like, oh, I need this because I got to go to school and go to work. And those practical realities are valid. And that's not the full story, right? Like, that's just not the full story. And so I think that this film is an important, documentation of the organizing process that we don't get to see. But it's also like, these people that I spent so much time with and that became my family, that are my family, that I love, that I'm building a movement with. So make more art, be creative. We can't, we can be angry. I've spent a lot of time being angry. Anybody who knows me and has seen me in action knows, but also joy and like art and beauty is important as well.
Yes. Excellent.
And more babies. Make art, make babies.
Can I
lots
say
of
that like
babies.
we're currently prepping for a PBS public television launch at the earliest at the end of the year, 2024, and so we are putting together all the materials for that. We have we have an official slot, so we're going to PBS. But we definitely need support with that. So that's one thing that we need. And then go to clarissasbattle.com. We have at least 2 more showings at Oakland International Film Festival in September, and actually the Social and Economic Justice Film Festival in San Francisco at the Roxy. So there'll be more information about that. Yay! And then we're at some other places, but those 2 are in the Bay Area coming up soon. So, and then if you want to stream it, I put the Good Docs link in there. Again, you can get there through the website. But we have some partners who are supporting grassroots screenings. So if you're like, hey, we need some help with this, then you can get the film and put together your own events. Bring it in your living room or at your local community center or part of, Parent Voices. We want to support.
Thank you so much. I was actually, that was my next question about the film being screened across the U.S. in different festivals, such as the Human Rights Watch, and also it's also going to be seen at the Northeast Human Rights Film, right?
We just got back.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry. But no, this is really great. So what has that been like? To actually screen the film and also really talk with different people in the community, organizations, human rights organizations. What has that been like for the actual film producers and also for you, Clarissa?
Yeah, England. Yep. Shout out to England. Shout out to, it'll be in Dublin, Ireland too. Shout out to Dublin, Ireland. Tomorrow we'll be there. Um, yeah, did you want to talk about the screenings we've
Well, yeah, I
done
mean,
tomorrow, those
I'd love to
experiences?
like pass it to you too, but so we opened with the Human Rights Watch Film Festival at in New York City at Lincoln Center. It was really beautiful. They've been such a great partner, and have continued to support us with resources. They helped us create a bit more accessibility with the film through audio descriptions. We already, we already have Spanish subtitles and English captions, so we're working on adding more. I saw a question about that in the chat. So we definitely Spanish was part, made sure that we had that ready. And, and then we've been kind of popping around the country just in the last maybe 6 months. It's been in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Chicago. There's been several national screenings with Community Change Action and Raising Child Care Fund, Early Childhood Funders Collaborative. They've been doing screenings to support funders of these movements to understand what they need to do to support trust and philanthropy, to make sure that they understand this isn't happening in a grant cycle. Like, there's been a lot of really amazing things happening with the film. Virginia, we were just in Connecticut with the Human Rights Watch. We had an amazing showing of so many organizers in San Diego we were the opening film for the Human Rights Watch Film Festival in San Diego. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but what I think has happened, one, there've been just beautiful and really powerful discussions in each space, but also like with each showing, the community grows larger, and then there's it's then being introduced in more spaces, and it's being able to be used in more spaces to support the work that's happening on the ground, because there's so much happening already. Clarissa, you can maybe speak more.
Yeah. Well, and a couple things. Shout out to Blake Halstad with Parent Voices California, who is really amazing and just did so much work to make the San Diego screening happen. And the San Diego screening was incredible. And shout out to Childcare for Every Family Network, the national network that's bringing more base building, grassroots organizing to the federal policy conversation in childcare, and so many other partners. I mean, I think it's been, for me, really, it's been really exciting to see some momentum. I mean, we already saw, people starting to pay attention in the more mainstream political discussions about pay attention to childcare during the pandemic, and then to see, sort of a broader range of partners and, stakeholders and folks who, organize and work with people who are impacted by this issue and are working on other issues, be engaged in the conversation. And I just love our partnership with Human Rights Film Watch, Human Rights Watch Film Festival, rather, because, this is a human rights issue. That's the best framing for childcare possible. Again, the way that I said, just simply distilling this down to an economic transaction really does not do justice to the struggles within our community and all of the beautiful, relationships and movement building that we've done. And so it's been wonderful for me to meet so many other change makers, and like internationally, and to be able to screen in these different environments where people really want to have an appetite for dialogue about organizing and about childcare, and of course about my story and how we did what we did, which was, this film talks about the passage of Measure C in 2020. It talks about the loss of Measure A in 2018, and just that, the roller coaster ride that was, Parent Voices Oakland's transition to, getting into some electoral work, and also how we're working to build an organizing culture and approach the work in a different way. And so one of my favorite, I wouldn't say audiences, but one of my favorite dialogues to have is with childcare providers. I didn't expect providers to see themselves and their struggle so much in this film. And that just, again, affirms to me that that we have so much beautiful unity and potential for unity and solidarity and power across, parents and childcare providers, those that are providing care, who are often the same folks, right? There's just so much overlap. And so I've personally just, I hold that with me every single day. Those conversations with child, especially like New York. I want to shout out I'm going to forget the childcare providers that are working on the Empire State campaign.
That's right. Yes.
And yeah, they are phenomenal. And we just had at the world premiere, had such a beautiful conversation, and that carries me through my work. These conversations have carried me every day. Oh, ECE on the Move. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. ECE on the Move. Amazing organization. Really had to shout them out. They were lovely. So yeah, because again, it's been a long time. Childcare hasn't gotten shot. Number one, it's been like this sort of, I don't know. People kind of know, even now in the Bay Area, I experienced this. I mean, this is no shade to anybody, but I feel like people get it, but they don't get it. They get it, but they're not down. You know what I mean? And so, we want everybody to be fighting for this just as much as they're fighting for everything else. And I'd be like, oh yeah, people need childcare. Really, really understanding that our communities don't thrive or move forward, without having a nationalized way to express our love and to nurture our babies. That is not an individual problem. And we have to address that with the same lens and the same precision as we do, immigration and, housing and public safety. this is, an anti-racist work, prison abolition, all of those things, how we as a society um, think about policies that, again, nurture and develop and support our children is incredibly important. And was a priority for the Black Panther Party, right? That was a priority, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this continue to escalate into something that we have these
I
broader
love that
movement
you brought up the
conversations about.
Black Panther Party, because I think there's also reminders about how that organizing work is why we have breakfast in
Yeah,
schools, is why, I mean, like, that work is why it
right.
happened. And this, having more reminders that organizing actions do matter. This organizing work on the ground is what creates the change. And so I've learned so much from you about that, about just and all of our partners and all of our organizing sisters and brothers and non-binary folks who are doing this work. That is how we create the change. Like, we have to envision the change and create the change, and then, like, it goes to the nationalized level.
I completely agree. I know that we have a few minutes, and I hope you don't mind if we go over just a little bit, but we have some really interesting questions. And I know Adrena, she posed a question for Clarissa, so we can check in on the comments and questions in our feed. But Adrena wanted to know, how does Clarissa feel about her life being exposed on so many vulnerable levels as a whole?
Mhm.
What has that been like for you, Clarissa?
I think, well, what's interesting is my life was already kind of on display just by nature of being a parent advocate, right? When I got into Parent Voices, um, one of the things I was doing was telling my story and how budget cuts had affected my story. It's interesting because we're kind of coming full circle in terms of our economy right now, and I think we've learned a lot of lessons from 2008 that I hope will help us fight back any kind of austerity and cuts. But to get to your question, I'm okay having my life and my work and my some parts of my personal life. I'm actually incredibly private. So, these parts of me that I feel comfortable being public, that I think is in service to the movement, I'm okay with that. Again, depending on the framing and the reason, and right, what am I in service to? Am I in service to uh, white supremacist delusion? Am I in service to racism that it wants to put me in a box and say, oh, this poor Black mother couldn't make it work in her life, let's give her a parenting class? You know what I mean? Is that the purpose, that I'm exposing, the trauma that I've been through when systems have failed me? So I think that you know that for me, if what I'm showing is both my vulnerability as a human being, because that is what I am, and also showing that it is through, like, being loved on by so many people, being loved on and supported in my leadership, because I didn't just pop out giving speeches. That was a long process. Like, Mary Ignatius is in, I think she might have hopped out, but Mary Ignatius and so many people have listened to me for hours and hours and hours, talk about my life, organize my ideas, and develop me as an organizer. All I'm okay with people learning about that process. So I think it just depends on, the why, like why there's an exposure, and who that's in service to.
Yes. Thank you so much for,
Hi,
really,
Mary.
with us, that vulnerable side. Because it's not easy. You, the director was so thoughtful, and, and how the film is actually telling your story, because you are a thoughtful person and advocate that cares about so many parents and families out there. And so we are in awe at this film, and we're so happy to hear that it's being shown in different cities, different states across the country. And actually, it sounds like it's actually even further than that. So we are really happy, you know, to hear about all your awesome work. I don't know if we have more questions. I know I do, but are there any more um, with the viewers? Did you want to present any questions to Tamara or Clarissa as we um, do more of our director's cut edition to TV Unfiltered?
I'm at this conference, the National
Yes.
Conference on Race and Equity. So I've got my professor hat on right now here. So I have a few more minutes, but then I have to go to my next session. But it's really amazing to be here and like just, you know, to be able to immerse myself in this part of my my educator work, right? And see this, I mean, this is another space of incredible organizing and coming together. So yeah, it's just, I think, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this anywhere, but Clarissa has had such an impact on me that I am now an elected member with my AFT 1493. Woo! So, like, you know, it's transformed my life in more ways than I can actually share. But I really appreciate you, Gia, taking this time to have this conversation online. And it's amazing that you've got Clarissa and I let's pop across the country.
I know. Thank you for coming on to the IG Live. We're so happy to have you, and congratulations with all your beautiful work. Excellent director and producer. And so we completely understand, like, if you're busy, doing other things, but so happy that you were able to come on the live.
Never too busy for you.
So
and the film, so no. Yes, me too.
Yeah, I'm so glad we got to do this. I mean, there's no place I'd rather be than talking to my Parent Voices family. I mean, seriously. I believe, I don't know. It's weird because I don't want to say weird things about Blue if it feels all patriotic and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, the country's kind of weird right now. But but I'm part of the Sea of Blue. I will forever be part of the Sea of Blue, okay? I was gonna be like, I bleed blue. That's extreme. That's extreme. That's doing too much. But I think I'm just really this was a really great. You have very amazing questions, and I really love the engagement in the chat and all of there's lots of people that I consider family here, and I really want to thank everyone that's watched the film, that's told other people about the film and promoted the film. Again, this has just been such a village experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is 100% been about, we haven't been some, slick Netflix, Amazon Prime, you know what I'm saying? I'm nothing against Netflix. Okay, first of all, like, that could be seen as, that's fine. I've just been watching Selling Sunset, everybody. But it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not a reality show like that. It's not like this stylized version of what it means to be an activist. It's not that. It's this, it's been the whole process from creating the film to promoting the film and rolling out the impact campaign. I mean, it has been this village approach. And this community-centered approach. And again, this has been all mothers, all mothering, all parenting human beings with children of all ages who have just, we've all poured our energy and love into this. So, I was going to say, Tamara works like 100 jobs, as a solo mom, answers emails. I don't even be answering all the emails. I'm going to just like put myself on blast. Tamara answers all the emails and like, oh, I forgot to. I'm like, man, I cannot. You know, so I mean, y'all pay her, because she works really hard and is leading a union. I mean, it's just like really phenomenal. But this is like actually how we change the world. You know what I mean? So
Clarissa.
yeah.
I know, I'm crazy, right? Well, I gotta take care of my baby too, right? Something's gotta work.
Exactly.
No.
We do all these screenings. She's always arguing with trying to get, not argue, but yeah, trying to having to advocate for herself to get childcare so that she can even go to the screenings. You know what I'm saying? It's like, get it together, America. You know what I'm saying? Like, and also our movement. There's a call in, to movement folks and everybody, like even locally here, like have better childcare at these meetings so that parents can participate. You know what I'm saying? We got to feed people. We got to have better childcare. We got to make it possible for working parents and working families to go to these conferences that y'all be organizing. We can't all go. You know what I'm saying? Like, we cannot all be there. So yeah, that's the last thing I'm gonna say. Like, make the movement accessible, because that's the other thing. It's like, while people are not fully talking about childcare and embracing how powerful like that actually can be for all of these other issues, because it crosses other issues. Even having accessibility, right, in a range, in all the different ways that accessibility can be defined. Making this accessible for working families is like, that's like task number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which again, it's just that another reason why Parent Voices is my home politically and in so many ways. And because, that is a value. It's like, people are just now being like, if you want people to come, you should serve food and have childcare. It's like, we need to have quality, loving experiences that build community for children, even within our movement spaces. That's also the work. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't know. Thank you so much for sharing the links and upcoming screenings. I think you
Yeah,
put
so
in the chat,
clarissasbattle.com
right?
is really like the center. So if you go to clarissasbattle.com, you can sign up for the newsletter. You can see where we've screened and keep an eye out for upcoming screenings, or reach out to us directly, all of that. So clarissasbattle.com. You can also make donations if that is something you can do to support the impact work, to support all this grassroots work that we're doing across the country. So yeah, clarissasbattle.com.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
And I just
This is
want
so fun. We never get to talk
It's
this
so
much
true.
on a panel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thanks.
I know, Mary, thank you so much. We all love you, and to all the parents,
Love you, Mary.
we we thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is Gia Jones, and this is Parent Voices Unfiltered. Until next month, we will talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Gia.
Bye.